If you've ever met someone or seen them in public and thought to yourself, wow, that person looks rich, you might be surprised to learn that it's not always the case. In reality, the people who look the richest are often the ones struggling the most financially. That's right, the harder someone tries to appear wealthy, the more likely they are to be dealing with money problems, though they'd never want you to know it. So, what's really going on here? Let's dive into the reasons behind this. One of the most common reasons people try to look rich is insecurity. Deep down, they know they feel inadequate or unsure of themselves, like they haven't achieved the level of success they'd hoped for, or they'd fallen short of their personal goals in other areas of life. Whether it's their career, relationships, or self-image, these feelings of disappointment can weigh heavily, and they often try to compensate for it by putting on a facade of financial success. By spending money on expensive clothes, flashy cars, or trendy accessories, they're essentially saying, "Look at me, I'm doing great," even if deep down they know they're not where they want to be. This display of wealth is nothing more than a way to boost their confidence, even if it's just on the surface. The problem is, this false image doesn't solve anything. Instead of addressing the root of their insecurities or working towards real personal growth, they rely on material items to temporarily feel better about themselves. It's like using a band-aid to cover a much bigger problem. Outward appearances can't change the reality of financial struggles, and often, overspending to look rich only makes things worse. As credit card bills pile up and debt grows, financial instability sets in, creating even more stress and feelings of inadequacy. In the end, the effort to look successful can deepen the very insecurities they're trying so hard to hide. Many people who are struggling financially believe that rich people always look the part, so they think the easiest way to appear wealthy is to dress and act like they're rich. However, truly wealthy people know this couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it. Movies, social media, and TV shows constantly show wealthy people wearing designer clothes, driving flashy cars, and jetting off to exotic vacations. Over time, this creates a false image of what being rich actually looks like, leading many people to think that if they can look wealthy, they'll somehow be closer to success. But here's the reality. Truly wealthy people often live much more modest lives than you'd expect. They aren't out walking around trying to prove how much money they have. If anything, they're trying to fly under the radar. Instead of spending on things that lose value, like luxury cars, expensive clothes, or the latest gadgets, they focus on building assets, things like businesses, real estate, and retirement savings, that grow their wealth over time. On the flip side, people who are just trying to look rich spend every dollar on things that don't hold value, trapping themselves in a cycle of debt and financial stress. The effort to mimic wealth might make someone look impressive on the surface, but behind the scenes, it often leaves them further away from true financial security. Another reason people try so hard to look rich is because they mistakenly believe that money and owning fancy things will bring them happiness. It's not hard to see why this idea sticks. Everywhere you turn, thanks to the power of advertising, you're bombarded with the message that the fanciest stuff is the secret to a happy and successful life. And sure, buying something new or expensive can feel amazing in the moment. You get that little burst of excitement, like you've accomplished something or reached a new level in life. But the truth is, that feeling doesn't last. It fades quickly, and you're left wanting the next big thing, chasing happiness that material stuff just can't provide. The reality is that true happiness doesn't come from showing off expensive things. It comes from financial security, strong relationships, and having a sense of purpose in your life, things you can't buy with money. The problem is, when people spend their way towards happiness, they usually end up doing the opposite. The bills start stacking up, credit card debt grows, and before long, they're stuck living paycheck to paycheck just to keep up the look. Instead of feeling happy, they feel stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed. It's kind of ironic. The very act of spending to feel better often makes life worse. Real peace and fulfillment is more likely to come from knowing you're in control of your finances, building a solid future, and focusing on people and things that truly matter, not the stuff that only looked good on the outside. For a lot of people, trying to look rich is all about gaining respect and boosting their social status. The more money you have, the more people tend to admire you, or so it seems. This belief drives many to spend their money on luxury brands, expensive cars, or lavish vacations, hoping it will impress others and make them appear successful and worthy of respect. But here's the thing, the pursuit of respect doesn't always go as planned. Instead of being seen as successful, they often come off as trying too hard, or worse, as superficial or irresponsible. People can tell when someone is only interested in appearances and isn't living authentically. And the truth is, no amount of luxury or flashy junk can truly earn someone's genuine admiration. In fact, when you spend money just to impress others, you end up neglecting what really matters: your character, your values, and the positive impact you make on others. These are true qualities that actually earn respect, not the things you own. On top of that, the pressure to maintain this image of wealth can be overwhelming. The constant need to keep up with expectations or impress people can push them deeper into debt. They might rack up credit card bills or even borrow more money just to continue living the high life. Over time, this not only leads to financial strain, but also emotional stress, as the gap between their real financial situation and the image they're trying to project grows wider. In the end, trying to look rich often has the opposite effect. It leaves people struggling to keep up, while real respect and admiration are built on much more meaningful qualities than what you own. The phrase, keeping up with the Joneses, really hits the nail on the head when it comes to why so many people overspend to look rich. It's all about that pressure to match what others are doing, especially when it comes to neighbors, friends, or coworkers who are showing off their fancy cars, vacations, and designer clothes. The more someone shows off their expensive lifestyle, the more others feel like they need to keep up, creating a constant cycle of one-upping each other. What makes this even worse is how social media has taken this to the next level. People are constantly looking at perfectly curated snapshots of others' seemingly flawless lives, vacations in nice places, new cars, and outfits that always look perfect. It's so easy to get sucked into the comparison game, thinking that if you don't have the same things, you're somehow falling behind. This constant competition only fuels overspending. People start maxing out their credit cards or taking out loans just to maintain an image that isn't even real. The problem is, most of the time, you don't see the truth behind the scenes. The Joneses might look like they're living the dream, but they could be buried in debt just to keep up their appearance. They might be using credit to maintain that lifestyle, living paycheck to paycheck just like everyone else, but you wouldn't know it from their social media posts or what they show off to others. The sad reality is, trying to keep up with this image only leads to financial ruin for everyone involved. Instead of feeling more successful or happier, it often creates stress, anxiety, and a growing pile of debt. If you see someone who seems to be doing particularly well, don't automatically assume they're better off than you. Just because someone is showcasing an outward appearance of wealth doesn't necessarily mean they're financially secure. In fact, the harder someone works to look rich, or the more they talk about how much money they make, how much they spend, or what they buy with it, the more skeptical you should be. Often, people who go out of their way to broadcast their wealth are doing so to hide their true financial situation. They might be living paycheck to paycheck or drowning in debt, trying to impress others. It's important to remember that what someone chooses to show the world doesn't always reflect their reality. True financial security is often understated and doesn't rely on flashy displays or constant boasting. The people who try to look rich are often the ones who are financially struggling the most. Their spending habits are driven by insecurity, the false belief that rich people always look rich, in the pursuit of respect and happiness through material stuff. By trying to keep up with others, they fall into a cycle of overspending, debt, and financial stress. True wealth is not about appearances. It's about financial security, smart money habits, and living within one's means. Instead of focusing on looking rich, people should focus on building real wealth that lasts.